Hey everyone, Ryan Young, Kama Jiu-Jitsu. I hope you're doing well. So last time I done a video on how you can make yourself better. And I got a lot of good responses from that, and I really thank you for that. And I actually had some, last I looked, I had some negative, some thumbs down on it. Can you believe that? But whatever, it's all good. Yeah, I had six thumbs down on it. Want to get better, faster in jiu-jitsu, right? And I've been doing this a long time, and I think it was a pretty badass model on how to get better. But 6 people just thought it was, but that's fine. Now, let me show you another secret. Okay, here's the thing. Let me kind of draw it out for you. Most schools that have a curriculum. Now, the ones that don't have a curriculum, forget it. It doesn't even work. You getting good in a school that has no set curriculum, it's a random thing. You may get good, you may not. I think more likely you won't. Because if you don't have an agenda, how do you know what you're doing? Or if you don't have a map and you gotta go somewhere, how do you know where you're going? A curriculum is a map. That's all it is, but you need a map. Let me kind of show you how most schools with a curriculum will teach, okay? Let's say you have lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it goes all the way to lesson 50. Then what they'll do is, here's the way it will typically be. You go through lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you go to 50, and if this is a belt, right? Here's your bar, your black bar, and you get your first stripe. Yep, it's your white belt. You go through 50, you go through another 50, another 50, another 50, and you go through one last 50 to get your blue belt, which is 250 classes. So that's where a Timeline Academy will typically come in. They'll keep track of your attendance. Oh, you came in for 50 classes, let's give you a stripe. Oh, you hit your 250th class, I'll give you a blue belt. So what they'll do is they'll have you come in. Let's say you can only come in on days when they're doing the odd number classes, right? So you come in, and every time you come in, it's an odd number class within the curriculum. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, blah, blah, blah. So on the other hand, another gentleman who joined the school, but he can only come in on the days when they're teaching the even numbered lessons. So what will happen is you'll run through, your school will run through every 50 days, they'll run through the curriculum. You're coming in every other day, so you're actually gonna have to run through it twice, right? So you're gonna see the 1, the 3, and the 5 twice before you get your stripe. And you're gonna keep doing that. What will happen is you'll hit your 250 classes without having seen a single even number lesson. So half of the entire curriculum you never saw. That other person who came to the school same time as you but went through the other classes, same thing with him. So you're both blue belts, but you know different things completely. You know 25 lessons, he knows 25 lessons. Neither of you have gone through 50 lessons. But in that amount of time, how many times did you go through lesson 1? Well, 2, for every stripe, you went through it twice. Right? So, so 10 times. You went through it 10 times. But you come 3 times a week, so now we gotta do a little quick math. So 3 times a week times 50 weeks, it's 150 classes a year. So another 100 classes. So about let's call it 20 months to your blue belt. So in 20 months time, you saw lesson 1, 10 times? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So that means you saw it once every 2 months. So 1 time every 2 months. So think about it. Lesson 1 was a day that you learned how to get out of mount. You didn't see it again until 2 months later. So you practiced it for 1 day, you took off, you came in, you learned something different. Took off, came in, learned something different. But you saw the mount escape once every 2 months. How good can you possibly be at it? I don't know. Something you've never seen before, you see it today and you don't see it again for 2 months later. But you see it every 2 months. That's provided you didn't miss any classes, which could happen. So that's the way most people will learn if they have a curriculum. Other places, you just learn random stuff all over the place, but they're still gonna add it all up. Oh, you came to 50 classes, so because of that, you're deserving a stripe. And you came to 250 classes, so here's your blue belt. I don't know, but that's the way most jiu-jitsu is done now, right? Back in the old days, what they would do is they would teach you privately. And people would kind of knock on the GRACIE'S for teaching privately. And because they teach you privately, it costs a lot of money, because you're paying for their time and it's just one-on-one. So when they're teaching you, they can't earn any money doing anything else. So here's what they would do though. They had 36 lessons and they would go through it, boom, 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 boom. And as you know it, they would then go to the next one. As you know it, they'd go to the next one. So that's how, by learning privately, so Dave Kama learned privately. He learned in the garage at Horian's garage and Hickson's garage. And I learned in Helson's garage, but at Helson's place, we did both groups and we did privates. But yeah, when I'd go to Helson's house and train at his house, we'd be going through the 36 lessons. So I think that's a good way to learn it. More so than just going into group classes only, because group classes are random, number one, and number two is group classes can only be catered to the average student in there. The students who are the very best students will be losing out some because everybody's not as good as them. On the other hand, the very worst students are gonna lose out because everybody's better than them. The ones in the middle are the ones that are typically catered to. And I'm sorry, but that's just the way it has to be, a group class. If you want it to be specialized for you, you're gonna have to do private classes. But this is how a circular model of teaching is done. Now, what about a linear? So linear is different. So a linear model looks like this. So you have lesson 1 and you have lesson 50. All right? So here's the way you do a lesson 1. You come in on day 1, you're gonna learn lesson 1. You're gonna work it all here. And that's your day 1. You're gonna come out, you come back again, and you're gonna do it again, you're gonna review it, and then you're gonna learn lesson 2. And then you're gonna work lesson 2. Then what'll happen is you'll go home, you'll come back in again, you'll review lesson 1, you'll review lesson 2, and you'll learn lesson 3. Whoops. And then you'll come in again, the next time, you'll review lesson 1, you'll review lesson 2, you'll review lesson 3, and you'll do lesson 4 for the first time. So look at how many times you've already seen lesson 1, and this could be every other day, right? So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday. So in 1 week's time, you went through lesson 1 4 times, lesson 2 3 times, lesson 3 2 times, lesson 4 1 time. That's how you learn linearly, and then you'll work your way up to lesson 50. So as far as rolling goes, that's just leisure training. There's not necessarily any goal with rolling other than to have some fun and beat somebody. But you're not necessarily beating them with the same thing over and over. You're trying to just take whatever you can get. Well, rolling happens midway through. So let's just say 25. The reason is because injuries happen right over here because you know nothing. You don't know how to get out of mount. You don't know how to get out when somebody takes your back. You don't know how to get out when somebody cross-sides you or whatever. Any bad position you're in, you do not know how to get out at this point in time. You have to have some sort of familiarity with it to get to the point where you can safely train without being injured. Because a lot of people, when they get injured in the early years. I haven't gotten injured in years. Now, my body is broken. That's different from being injured, right? That's just wear and tear. But all my injuries happened when I was a blue belt. And I might have had I was a purple belt when I got my knee injuries, but that was in judo. So I was very early in judo. So as far as the rolling, in our effort to preserve our students long enough for them to be able to defend themselves, we don't let them roll until middle of the road or middle of the time. And this is, to blue belt. By the time one of our students reaches blue belt, they've gone through this lesson so many times, right? And they do it consecutively. Does that make sense? So what happens is the later lessons might only be gotten a few times by the time they got to the blue belt. But all this early stuff, the foundational part in your jiu-jitsu, the defense in your jiu-jitsu, how to protect yourself, how to be undefeatable, these are all the chances of repetition that you got to get to this point. So that being the case, if you, as a purple belt at another school who didn't learn like this, who learned circularly, came across a blue belt who learned defense this way, learned his early lessons this way, who has escaped mount. Let's say by the time he got to his blue belt, he's escaped his mount, did a mount class or whatever, and did it in class, as a repetition when he walks in, 500 times. What's the chance that you, as a person out at this level from another school in a Timeline Academy who might have only seen this concept 20 times, what's the chance of you being able to beat him here? Probably pretty small. So this kind of dovetails in with that last video I did on how to make yourself better in jiu-jitsu, but I kind of wanted to give you the rationale on how this worked, how you may be being limited by another school's style of teaching. Teaching is teaching. It doesn't matter if you're teaching jiu-jitsu, if you're teaching how to read, how to write, how to do math, whatever. There are certain fundamentals that you need to observe to be successful. You can't teach randomly, at least not successfully. And if you do create a student who's good, then there could be other factors that are involved, but the average person, I don't think is going to be successful that way. So anyway, I hope this kind of sheds some light on why learning linearly is so important. Anyway, if you got any questions, go ahead and comment below. I want to thank you guys for subscribing, liking, and sharing. And sharing is caring, Anyway, that's all I got for you. Take care, happy training, bye.